Yo, it's me, CSCOTT, and I just finished watching The Ranch final season on Netflix, so I figured I'd do the video about it after I eat supper, of course. So The Ranch is this Netflix TV show that when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, okay, I gotta check this out, because it's the first sitcom I've ever seen where they dropped the F word, and it's on Netflix, so you can do that. So, yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And so I finally was able to catch the last season and watch it. And for the most part, this series is very, very enjoyable. It's very funny. The characters are written well. Some not so much. We'll get to that. And the handling of a certain actor's departure is also handled pretty well. We'll get to that. So the show was developed as a vehicle for Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson to work together again after that 70s show. And it follows Colt Bennett, played by Ashton Kutcher, who comes back from a not-so-good football career to help on his father's ranch, where he tries to reconnect with his brother Rooster, played by Danny Masterson, and his father, Bo, played by Sam Elliott. Also there, running a bar, is his mother Maggie, played by Deborah Winger. And it's just Colt trying to reconnect with his family. Most of the jokes in the first season are just Colt is the butt of their jokes because they're about his failed football career or how he sucks, just stuff like that. It gets better as they go on, but it's still funny. And we're also introduced to a former high school girlfriend of Colt's, Abby, who at the time is dating Kenny, played by another former That 70s Show, sort of, alumni, Brett Harrison, who played Charlie in a few episodes towards the end of season 7. It was written off beginning of season 8. And we also get other That 70s Show cast members. Deborah Jo Rupp plays Abby's mom. Kurtwood Smith plays Mr. Peterson. And Wilmer Valderrama plays Umberto, which is a friend of theirs who gets deported eventually. So Colt starts dating a girl named Heather, who is younger than him, but not too young, And they start dating, but he starts to have feelings for Abby again, and ends up getting with Abby. And leaves Heather in the dust, you know what I mean? And Abby leaves Kenny for Colt. They get together, and then Colt finds out that Heather is pregnant, and that takes up maybe the second part. Maybe it's 4 seasons separated into 2 parts each, so it's 8 parts altogether. I don't necessarily remember the whole thing like that, but eventually she has doesn't go anywhere because she has a miscarriage at the end of one of the parts. And so that's written out. But then Abby gets pregnant, like in the next part, and they have a daughter named Peyton. So that's kind of like, oh, we don't want Heather to be the one that has the baby. We'll have Abby be the one that has the baby because that's what works. And then they throw that in the dumpster because how they end that part with, so the whole thing is that Colt wants to buy the Peterson Ranch. He does without his dad say so, and then he decides he's going to sell it to Lisa Newman, but at the last second doesn't, but tells Abby he is going to, and they just got married, and because he lied to her, she takes off, and almost the entire first part of the final season is nothing but her being a bitch to him and arguing and bitching and complaining because he made one little fucking lie. And it's not even really imperative to their relationship. Money-wise, yeah, but come on. We have some side characters in the show that are pretty good. There's Hank, who frequents Maggie's bar. There's Martin Mull, he plays a lawyer that shows up. I don't remember his name. Who else is there? There's Beer Pong Billy and Wilkerson. They're 2 cops. Beer Pong Billy is a childhood friend of Rooster and Colt's. But Wilkerson was a rival of Colt's back in high school. He's like a little nerdy, tiny character. There's also Heather's mom, Mary, who Rooster ends up dating, which ends up leading to his dismissal from the show. We'll put it that way. During the production of the third season, something happened with Danny Masterson. Allegations came out, and he was fired from the show. So he Danny Masterson was not a part of the second half of season 3. He was written out at the end of part 1, and they wrote him out. I think they treated his character better than Charlie Sheen's character was treated on 2.5 Men. I know it's 2 different kind of producers and stuff. I'm just saying, 2 different creators. But I'm just saying, his dismissal, it was very quiet. He didn't mouth off to anyone. He just left, and it was handleable. There's even a little nod to him in the final season. But what happens is, because he's dating Mary, and then Mary's ex-husband Nick shows up and threatens that if Rooster doesn't leave, he's going to kill him. So Rooster leaves town. And in the next part, we find out that he died in a motorcycle accident. Supposedly. We never see him again or hear from him again, other than a little nod in the final season when Colt is a run fence. He gets pinned up by his truck, and it's in the cold. He starts to hallucinate, and he thinks he's talking to Siri. It sounds like Abby, and then it sounds like Siri again, but it's Rooster. It even goes, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, motherfucker." That's Rooster. And I think that scene was written pretty well. Along the way, Bo starts dating Joanne. Another, elderly woman, not his age, maybe younger. And she's a great character. And they eventually get married in the final season. Now, let's talk about one character I haven't mentioned yet that I liked at first because the actress portraying her, Wendy Malick. But in the final season, this woman is made an antagonist completely. And that's Lisa Newman. She owns Newman's Ranch, and in one of the parts, there is a wildfire that destroys her ranch. She puts her cattle on Bo's ranch, and eventually, they have sort of a kind of witty repartee about her. She helps him out, that stuff. Well, in this season, she becomes an antagonist because Bo had bought the Peterson Ranch, and he and Rooster were making it Bennett Brothers Ranch, right? And so this whole thing starts when his cows aren't getting pregnant. So he goes to Lisa to ask for a favor, one of her bulls. She says no, but Bo lets one of them loose, and it goes and impregnates his cows. And Lisa thinks that Colt did it, but Colt says he did not do it. And then she still believes it, and this leads her to build a dam in the creek where the other ranch's cows would drink from. In retaliation, Bo and Rooster's replacement, Luke, we'll talk about him in a second, break down the dam. And she threatens to send Colt to jail for it. And that part ends with her saying, "You either go to jail or you sell me your ranch." And that's when oh, you bitch. Now, Luke Matthews is Bo's nephew, the son of his brother who died serving in the service. And he's played by Dax Shepard. And as a replacement, per se, I think he's a pretty good character. He and Ashton Kutcher, they get along well. They work together on Punk'd for a little while, so it works. His character is very good in this last season. He goes through a lot with Mary and her addiction problems. And then Nick comes back in, and that leads to a cliffhanger from part one. From part one. Maybe that wasn't the cliffhanger in the part, but the part one. Where, because Nick is responsible for Rooster leaving, Colt wants to kill him. Luke married Mary in Vegas, and he really, really cares about her, so he goes to do it for Mary, and Bo goes to kill him for Mary. They get there, and they go in his trailer, and the part ends with Nick showing up and a gunshot going off. Now, for the entire second part, not the entire second part, but for parts of the second part, it's sort of a mystery of who did it. Each of the men get brought in, but they're not responsible. So for Luke does get thrown in jail, so does Colt, because he's there. Colt is on his, as aforementioned, Colt and Abby have a baby. He's reaching in his pocket for some dip, and he sees a pacifier and decides they're going to leave. But on the way back, they're in separate vehicles. He gets a text message or phone call from somebody, and goes back. The cops show up, and he's coming out of the place. And he's like, "Oh, Nick's in there. Oh, but he's dead, though." We do find out that it's actually Heather that did it. And it was self-defense because Luke left his gun there. Well, not, he didn't leave it there. Mary took it out. Mary stole his truck to buy drugs. She does go to rehab. And she left it in the house to defend herself from Nick. Heather saw it and shot Nick in self-defense. Nick's dead. Don't gotta worry about him. And I was for sure that maybe this was going to be the return of Rooster, but I knew he wasn't going to come back. So that little nod. But, yeah. And Luke does go to jail for a little while because it's his gun, but other than that, not much. Is there anything else? Oh, Maggie does come back. She goes to Florida at the end of season 3 to help her sister who has cancer. And she comes back for the final few episodes. I'm not going to go any further because I'm going to do a separate finale video on it. But overall, this show was pretty good. It was the first sitcom that I really saw, oh, they're going to do F-bombs. The final season has the most F-bombs, I think. From the start of it, it was just every once in a while. But, you know, the last season, F-bomb. This show was really good. You should check it out. I give it an A. Alright? So what are your thoughts on The Ranch? Some new comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned. Look out for my finale review. Maybe I'll record it tonight. Maybe not. Who knows? Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.